What position you could put your patient in to test this?
Oh, okay, I see, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. One question was, are we going to be penalized for going over a couple of minutes? Okay. You gotta let go of the time. Let it go. My experience tells me, because I've been doing this a lot of years, I've done a lot of practicals. If you know your material, if you know your skills, 15 minutes is longer than you need. If I don't keep on time, we'll all be here till midnight. I'm not willing to do that, okay? I have to keep you running on time because I've got 23 to go through. So if I let one person run over, then I have to let anybody else that wants to run over. Not an option, okay? Occasionally we do fall behind, and typically that's not because we've let somebody go over, but more because we spend a little more time doing some feedback, okay? How detailed of an analysis in the A of the SOAP note are you looking for? We did a SOAP note together. Was it 3 paragraphs long? No.
Okay, just like that.
No, just short and sweet and to the point. I don't want lots of gobbledygook to read. Okay, all of your things, and so let's just go over what I'm looking for in a SOAP note. Okay, so S is subjective. And subjective is something relevant to what you're doing that the patient says. I had more pain after last time. I'm looking forward to starting therapy because I want to get better. That goes to motivation. It needs to be something relevant, not I'm fine. My dog died yesterday. My grandmother has the flu. That's not relevant to this. I mean, yes, you might discuss those things. Yes, stress in their lives may play a role in their response to therapy, but it needs to be something that's specific to what you're doing with that patient. Okay? If it's like there's lots of turmoil going on in their life and that seems to be affecting your therapy, your S statement could be, doesn't have to be a quote from the patient. You can say, patient verbalizes lots of stressors in their life right now. Okay? If your patient doesn't have any new complaints, you can say no new complaints. You don't always have a real good S statement, but I don't want all the history stuff in the S. And so when your patient tells you, well, I fell and I hurt my shoulder and and I have diabetes and high blood pressure. Yes, that's something that the patient said, but that counts as objective information. Those are the facts of the case. How you collect the facts of the case might be that you do a test, but it also might be that you ask your patient for specific pieces of information. Do you see the distinction there? Okay, so your S statement is really just something short and sweet. It can be a quote or it doesn't have to be. It can be an overarching statement of sort of the general content of the patient's dialogue. Okay, it doesn't need to be 2 paragraphs long. Okay, so if you put a lot of that patient history data in your S, I'm going to mark it off because that stuff really needs to go in O. What goes in O is your objective measures. Okay, so that's any measurements that you do. Any specific information that you gain from the patient that's like facts about the case. I generally put pain in O because yes, it is fairly subjective patient to patient, but it's a way to objectify subjective information. And so in my opinion, it's part of your assessment. Okay, A can stand for assessment or analysis, and I think analysis is a better word to use there because your whole purpose in A is to analyze the data that you've collected. What does that data mean? Okay, so in the case of these practicals, you're going to be doing some measurements. Okay, your patient will not be normal. So if you're getting normal readings, catch a message. Your patient will not be normal. So if you're getting normal readings, you're probably on the wrong side. Okay? We're not gonna try to really trip you up, because what I want to see is your skills. And so your muscle grades, and that's, you know, range of motion is pretty self-explanatory, but muscle grades, we're gonna be in that sort of middle range. You're not probably gonna get any 4s or 5s, and you're probably not gonna get any 1s or 2s. I want to see you pick out, well, you might get some 2s. You might get some 2s and 3s. That's where you might be.
So it's more, in the A, it's more describing